I'm here today with some very special guests that have agreed to do an interview with ADFC, Aquarium Divers for Coral. We are down here in Islamorada. We are working with I.CARE, and we have Dr. Kylie Smith and Mike Goldberg here. And I just want to ask you a couple of questions about your organization. Congratulations on establishing Islamorada Conservation and Restoration Education, which is I.CARE. We know you're pretty new to the scene, but you've done so much in 2 years and gotten a lot of attention for your work. And we just want to congratulate you on your success. And I wanted to ask, how did you and why did you start I.CARE? I know that's a big question, so kind of a brief description of exactly, how did it happen?
Well, let me first start by saying thank you to ADFC for coming today. It's a big deal to us to be able to help educate those that care about our coral, and we're very appreciative of your group coming down this week. The idea behind what we started came to be because of the loss of our coral reefs. Quite simply, it was kind of depressing what was happening, and Kylie and I decided that we needed to do something, and we put our experience together, her education and science background, my knowledge of what's happening here on the reef and in our community, together to make restoration available to the recreational diving community.
Now that's a unique thing, using recreational divers to do this work. Were there hurdles in getting a program like that off the ground?
Absolutely, there were totally hurdles. We're the only group to do this. And so as we were going through the permitting process, there was a lot of back and forth with both of the permitting agencies about who's going to teach, who's going to supervise, who's going to make sure that the science and proper protocols are actually being taught to the recreational divers to where they can have the largest positive impact. And so that's where our team really comes into play. As your group already saw, the interns do a really great job at taking all of that science and breaking it down to where anybody can understand it.
That's terrific. I know you work with several partners. Moat Aquarium is one of those partners. Could you explain to us the partnerships, not in detail, but just who you work with and how that works?
Absolutely, yeah. So we here at I.CARE, our kind of specialty is the actual coral transplanting, and then the monitoring and involving the community with all aspects of that. We don't actually propagate corals, so we get our corals from other partners. So Moat Marine Laboratory was the first partner that we started working with. They provide us with the majority of the corals that we transplant, and they do some incredible science behind their process of creating corals to ensure that we're putting our resources towards the types of corals that are going to have the highest chance of survival. We also get corals from Reef Renewal USA as well as the FWC here in the Florida Keys.
Now, we've been through your program. We did the classroom section, and we also went out yesterday. We had an amazing tour with you, Mike. Got to see a beautiful reef. Yes, it's struggling, but it's still really gorgeous, and appreciate you showing us that. I wanted to see if you could tell us a little bit, because some of these people that are going to be watching this don't really know what's going on down here. If you could give us a overview of what's happening in the Florida Keys right now.
Well, what precipitated us creating I.CARE was the majority loss of our coral reefs. We lost over 95% of the corals that we have. And recently, of course, we've had these elevated temperatures. And as far as the work that we're doing, it's mostly affecting the corals that we put down. But what we saw yesterday was some bright spots. Sure, there's bleaching. There's bleaching on the staghorn coral, the elkhorn corals. But they're still alive largely. Over 70% of the staghorn corals that we put down are still alive. And they're still hanging on, waiting for, hopefully, sometime over the next maybe couple of weeks, maybe even this weekend, because there's a front coming through, just a little bit of a break from the temperature. And I'm pretty certain we're going to have survivors when this is all said and done. The bouldering corals that we put down, the brain corals, the star corals, we were looking at those yesterday. They were all 100% alive. There was not one of them that had died due to the heat stress. So there's a silver lining here, and what it tells anyone that's out swimming with us that there is a path forward. There is a way to make this work. This is a living laboratory that we're experiencing in real time. And as we adapt and learn, we know what to do and how to move forward. And we can just look at yesterday's dives as an example.
I love it, and I love that positivity. I think it's really going to give divers hope, and it's going to give them a reason to come down here, join with you, and help in what you're doing. And you know, that's something that ADFC can bring to the table, is bringing you experienced divers, aquarium divers who do this all the time, who can come down and really get to it and help get some of that work done.